Iron Moisture Star user, Hisuian Gudra V-Star, has been an absolute focal point.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this deck and everything that it has for us playing up against the power of the Regigigas. We know that it has plenty of playability here. It doesn't have to worry about targeted weakness. So hopefully we have a great game here lined up in the top 4. Let's see what the prize cards have for us.
Prize cards are big for definitely Azul, and they can be important with Hale with some of these thinner lines of Pokemon. The Regirock, Regieleki, and Aurora Energy in there for Azul. Not perfect, but there's still plenty of options. It's not like we had a double prized, which could be huge if you can't get to the Hisuian Heavy Ball. A couple of Crystal Caves put in there for Hale the Switch, which could be really, really important when it comes to, you know, dealing with getting out of something like that Regice's Blizzard Bind attack. Definitely limits the options. You know, the Switch isn't in the highest count in the deck, just a couple of them in there. So a little bit harder to find if he's getting walled out by Azul. You know, maybe Azul just buying a little bit of time. Ready for the Yell Horn.
Yeah, I like the placement of it. It's at the bottom. Maybe when the prize exchanges happen, it will fall into the hand at the perfect time. Let's go ahead and check out the opening turn here of the top 4 in the hands of Azul.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Azul going first, mulling over that hand. Got some search already in there. I see an Ultra Ball right at the front of the hand. The Regidrago in the active, so if he can thin it down, he can get that plush selection of 4 cards with the Dragon Horde. He's going to be able to go through, count those Regis, very important in this matchup. Certainly one way to make sure that you're hitting all of them. And if you've got more in the hand, you just want to grab as many of them as possible. The Radiant Gardevoir left stuck in the active for Hale. Definitely something he's going to want to get out of there, and that's not the easiest thing to do, especially, you know, 2 retreat costs when you're switch prize could become a little bit of a problem. Doesn't really have any other way to get it out, and if he loses that, you know, that's one of those damage reduction options taken away early doors, which means a little bit more reliance on the Crystal Cave, 2 of which are prized, and then, you know, maybe a little bit more reliance on the following Hyper Potion as well. If the Crystal Caves can't stick, you know, there is a world where the kind of stadium exchange could just be won by Azul throwing down those paths to the peak.
Yeah, and also just getting the Radiant Gardevoir to start things off means that you didn't start your Arceus, and I don't think we've seen Hale start Arceus, at least in the last few times
not
that he's
today.
been on stream. Yeah.
No, not today. He's had a bit of a rough ride of it, not being able to get those Arceus Vs down, start things off really early by just getting energy out, even without the damage. The Arceus V just being able to get the game rolling for you very, very quickly. Of course, if Path to the Peak sticks, that Radiant Gardevoir is going to be even more useless. Radiant Pokemon do technically have a rule box, or they do have a rule box, no technically about it. And, you know, that damage reduction is going to be limited. But the Regirock, after a good bit of deliberation from Azul, hitting the bench, he's going to set up what we know as the Trojan Horse with the Gift Energy and 2 off the Dragon's Horde. So a couple extras coming into the hand. It's been a pretty light start for Azul, though. Just 1 Gift Energy in the discard, so not looking to accelerate Auroras or Speed Lightnings or, you know, something like that. And it's just going to be a pass over to Hale. Let's see what he's got in the hand.
Yeah, just to speak a little bit more on what Azul had, I think the hand has at least a supporter, so not terrible starting things off here with the Gift Energy to be at least have something in play. But yeah, Hale's going to go ahead and start off with that Colress's Experiment, a card that doesn't really care about the Lost Zone or any of the implications of that. Just says I want to look at 5 cards and pick 3 good ones.
Yeah, get rid of 2 that maybe aren't so useful in the matchup. Looks like there's going to be some deliberation there. Of course, I saw a Hisuian Gudra. That's definitely something you need to consider. He does have a little bit of extra search in the hand as well. I can see a Quick Ball in there, so plenty to keep on going with. But he was pulling at the Hisuian Gudra. I believe there was a Melanie in there, and it looked like he was willing to sacrifice a Hyper Potion. He's going to be giving up on the Hyper Potion and the Melanie, so those other 3 cards got to be big, especially if you're giving up a Hyper Potion here.
Yeah, no information just yet because there has been no deck search. This will be the first one here with the Quick Ball. We're going to get the bad news that not only is that Path to the Peak gone, but the rest of your supporters, you've got 1 more Crystal Cave to work with.
Yeah, that Crystal Cave needs to be used at an opportune time, hopefully for the full value healing. I'm pretty belligerent on that as we go through
yeah,
these games.
30, I would really hope you'd get
if
the
you
30.
whiff the 30, you're probably in a great position anyway, and you probably don't need it. But he is able to go in with the Quick Ball, of course, and grab one of those basic Pokemon. You know, to getting rid of the Path to the Peak, it's not like it really does anything to Azul. So it's like, what are you going to do? Azul can't exactly bump it either, so it feels like a pretty free card to get rid of. The Hyper Potion, you know, certainly something that going in the Lost Zone feels a little bit rough, but at the moment, I think for Hale, it's all about getting going. This Regi deck can explode into action very, very quickly, and if he falls behind that pace, it's going to be in a little bit of trouble. There is, of course, that Hisuian Gudra in there. See that hit the bench as well, just the V, of course, but it doesn't look like we can see a very quick attack from this Arceus V. Just a basic water being thrown down there, and it's back over to Azul to see what he can do.
Yeah, reaching the bare minimum at least. Arceus V, energy down, Ultra Ball in hand. Now it is up to Azul to find some ways to at least get a board going here and potentially find some of the disruption. We know how crucial a path to the peak could be in a situation like this, especially with those prize cards being so terrible for Hale.
Well, Azul starting off the turn with the Aurora energy that's getting attached, discarding the Regigigas. He already has that one on the bench, so it would be okay to maybe go and get that later with an Ordinary Rod, and then following up with Amani, which could make things pretty tough for Hale. I think he's done okay on the back of that one, so not the end of the world for him, but still lacking a couple of those pivotal pieces. The Marnie looking a little bit better for Azul. Does have a quick ball, so can keep the hand getting thinned down, potentially get in range for a Dragon's Horde. But I think a couple more Regis may be the optimal look on this turn. I see the quick ball pull to the front. That's going to be discarding the Twin Energy. Very, very helpful. Get that in the discard nice and early so it can be pulled back with the Ancient Wisdom. Another dig through the deck. Pick a Regi, put it down on your bench.
Yeah, we see the Regi Ice being the likely choice here, already with 4 of the Regis ready to go. The Choice Belt is a card that's in the hand too, which is going to be nice when trying to work in some of the damage necessary to potentially knock out a Pokemon like an Arceus V-Star.
Yep, and being able to put that Choice Belt in the right spot, certainly a very important use of it when it comes to these decks that are seeing a lot of play and making sure that you're getting maximum value out of it. You don't want to throw it on something that's just never attacking. That seems very, very silly indeed. So the Regieleki going to be the choice for Azul here. It is going to be the targeted Bolt version, so being able to spread a little bit of damage around, around to something on the bench, actually avoiding maybe the effects of those damage reduction options from the Hisui and Gudra. So I do like this angle. I think that's going to be one that's really, really important because those 120s could rack up very quickly. Azul does play the path of the peak. The Choice Belt is attached to the Regigigas, and it's a Dragon's Horde for 3. There's an Air Balloon. I believe that's an Ordinary Rod as well, and another Energy. Is that in there?
Yeah, this is not the ideal hand. Not much else happening here. Potential to use an air balloon and switch to a different Pokemon if you value the Griego, but I don't think you're that worried about being knocked out here too. The path to the peak and a 5-card hand for your opponent, that has to feel okay.
Yeah, but it's really up to see what Hale can do. I don't think he's he can't Starbirth. That's a big deal from there. But he would still be able to get it potentially set up and get those energies moving with a Trinity Nova. So the Ultra Ball discards the Water Energy and the Evolution Incense. So being able to go find some things that way. There is the Arceus V Star coming down. The big concern for me is how do you get this Gardevoir out of the active? I just don't see an easy way for it right now.
You let it get knocked out.
But if you do that, you let it get knocked out, that's absolutely fine. But how well set up is Azul going to be at that point?
Very.
Because if you can't get that out of the active, he's going to have everything he wants and more, maybe even a couple of those juicy-looking, Ancient Wisdom, setting up everything on the bench. That draw from the Melanie, of course, he grabs that water that he discarded. Doesn't feel great. Another Hisui and Gudra going down. It's going to be another Colressing, in hand with the Water Energy and the Big Charm.
Melanie doing just enough not to make you angry and just gives you the Colress at least so you feel a little better. But obviously there were some fantastic draws potentially there with that last Crystal Cave, which would have been a phenomenal pickup.
As you described it, the bare minimum.
Yes, at least give me that. Come on.
Yeah, at least give me something I can play the next turn. There are still options for Hale to play, but it's back over to Azul. He does get the Professor's Research, I believe, right off the top. Wants to make sure that all of these resources are being well used. That's going to be a Ordinary Rod for just the 1 card, but it is a Regigigas, pretty much the cornerstone of this deck, being able to use that Ancient Wisdom. Wants to be able to set that up over and over again. So that goes back into the deck. I have to imagine that using that resource shows where Azul is thinking. An Air Balloon could go down, but this is on this Professor's Research, so a little bit weird. A lot of trainers would love to use Professor's Research to dump as many energy in that discard as possible. There's no energy in the hand. There's the Air Balloon. Oh, there is the Capture Energy, but where does he want to put it? Because it's like attaching it is going to be a little bit limited. There's the Air Balloon.
Yeah,
There's the scoop up net.
I think this is
Just
just
a
a nod
thin.
to using the Dragon's Horde before and then
Yep.
hoping to see any
Ooh.
other energy. If you can get one of those specific typings, then maybe that opens up
Yep.
for an attack with the Griego, or you can use the Regieleki and start to soften up some of these big Pokemon V on the bench.
Well, he's definitely looking for another one of those Aurora energy, and I'm just not seeing it in there right now. The Hisuian Heavy Ball will give Azul access to look in those prize cards and find out that 2 of his Regis are in there. Unfortunately, both the Regirock and the Regieleki are already very much in play, so he's not too worried about those. Definitely wants to double down on the Regirock, though. I think the Regirock obviously being able to swing for huge damage into an Arceus V-Star. By huge damage, I mean a knockout, is definitely something you want to prioritize, and something that Hale, if he's able to get the ball rolling, if he's able to get this Gardevoir out of the active, then you know what, kind of go a little bit crazy and see if he can target those Regirocks down before one of them fires back into an Arceus V-Star for a crisp 2 prizes.
And to see what else Azul can find here at this spot. Not really seeing the preferred energy typing. That's just going to be a pass, and that's not ideal.
Yeah, rough beat for Azul. Still no attacks from either of these trainers in this game. The big charm goes down onto that Arceus V-Star. Maybe trying to save it a little bit from the Regi. And it's going to be the Professor's Research off the top. So another Water Energy hitting the discard, maybe for a later play. Actually, I believe he does have a more Melanie, so he could get that one going. But, you know, it's still not exactly what you want here. There is the double turbo energy finally down onto that Arceus V-Star. It's ready to go, Kyle. Bad news, it's in the wrong place.
Yeah, this is just so unfortunate for both players. Slowly getting their setups. At least Hale is looking at the right cards and the right energies, but that is not the ideal basic Pokemon in the active spot. And sure enough, doesn't really want to waste a switch in a spot like this, let alone if he could even find one.
I don't even think he's going to have a choice. I think he has to use the switch. He does have access, though, to the Crystal Cave off that Marnie. So Azul just trying to see more cards, see the complete combo that he needs. A good way to see more cards, of course, is mulling over. Just making sure he knows exactly what's where it needs to be. But the Speed Lightning energy does... He's really deliberating on this one. Yeah, Speed Lightning gets attached. There's 2 into the hand, another Speed Lightning, and a Quick Ball, so he can discard an energy.
There we
the
go.
Aurora energy is what he needs. He's actually only 1 Regiarray after this. He just needs the Steel and the Ice. There's the Steel off the Quick Ball. Can he get the Ice, and can he get things going?
At least seeing that energy in the right place, the Aurora really starts to unlock a lot of the potential here. Can the hand get anything? Oh, well, there we go.
Didn't see that one in the hand. Obviously grabbed that one off the Marnie a little bit earlier. The Aurora energy discarded. Get that in the right spot to, of course, be summoned up. And Azul could be being very, very cheeky here, making Hale's life really, really tough, depending on how he targets things down. He's just going to leave the Radiant Gardevoir in the active and targeted bolt down onto the Hisuian Gudra V, the one with the energy as well. Is that, you know, Hale, I think, has to get things going this turn, or else this is going to become disastrous.
Well. Look at that. The only copy of the Crystal Cave finds its way to the hand, and that is exactly what Hale needed to see.
Yep.
Now we see some Parasols coming down, and the Arceus V-Star surely will be using Starbirth here to try to make something happen.
A gentle flip of the V-Star marker as he digs in. There's a couple cards that he's going to need to keep things going. I do see a double turbo energy. That's an option to keep things going. If you want to be able to, of course, just manually attach that and then bounce that Gardevoir out of there with a manual retreat, that is definitely one way to do it. And save your switch for later. I believe the other card he selected would be the Marnie. So that's going to be able to, of course, potentially limit Azul's hand a little bit, get him back down to 4. And if he can take a knockout, maybe stop him from finding the replacement Regieleki.
Yep, love seeing this here. The double turbo energy going to basically play as a switch in this position, but no worries. Get to hold on to some useful resources for later on. We know that the Yell Horn can be a nuisance, so having an option to switch around in that situation is going to be great. And Hale already saying, this is not the Hisuian Gudra I'm going to charge up. I've got this one over here with no damage, and that's looking mighty juicy.
Yeah, well, it is going to be a declare of the Trinity Nova. There's 3 energy going down onto the undamaged Hisuian Gudra V-Star, and then the gift energy activating for Azul. So turning that one around, being able to, of course, pick up another handful of cards. I mean, it's weird, right? When you Marnie your opponent and you give them gift energy,
Yeah,
it just doesn't feel right to me.
you're letting them basically shuffle, get a new hand, like a good hand.
Well, speaking of good hands, Azul starts it off with the trekking shoes. I already see some cool pieces in there. It looks like 2 ordinary rod now, so very easy decision for him. He already pulled them to the front. He's just going to go in and grab some Regieleki, the missing piece that you do want to get in there. Of course, the big thing here is, nothing is defended by that big parasol right now. It's only active when it's in the active spot, and there's no big parasol, of course, on that Arceus V-Star. It does have the big charm, though, which could help it out against this Regirock. The big thing here, though, is with this nice full hand, can Azul find the Regieleki? Yes, he can. I see a quick ball.
Yep, going to start working through the deck now at this point, just deciding which resource is less important. It's going to be that Ultra Ball that's being lost. Going with the other Regieleki here. Not going to be able to get through the discard pile at any point or get the big snipes to the bench. But of course, Terra Spark, we know, can be a big nuisance, especially if we see the caves getting countered soon.
Yeah, and the big thing here is this Regirock was the recipient of the Choice Belt earlier in the game, which means this big charm just isn't going to be able to do enough to save this Arceus V-Star. It's still going to get knocked out, and as soon as that Regieleki hits the bench, we see Azul dive on in to go and grab some energy.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, this is the other Regieleki. He was able to get it right back. So sure enough, knows the ideal Regi there and does find it. That's very nice.
Yeah.
And this is a huge play here. Regirock getting the job done. Giga Impact with the Choice Belt, getting through the Arceus V-Star, even with the big charm.
Yep, and that puts Azul up 4 prizes to 5 against Hale. Crystal Cave sticking around, and that benched Gudra is able to heal up down to 60 right now. There is a big Parasol in the active, so that's something to consider as well. And it looks like a little bit of manual attachment if he needs to bounce between Gudra. It does look like we're going to take a quick look in the discard, and this is where things can get a little bit dicey for, Azul being able to put that big damage down in return and keep winning the prize trade by hitting huge knockouts is the big thing that Regi decks like to do. I do think that with the Rolling Iron, that is potentially being taken away from him. But before we even get to that, we're going to have to go through another Chorus's experiment. So plenty of, a little bit of draw power, but informed draw power from the Chorus. I do see a Boss's Orders in hand, an Ultra Ball, a couple energy. The Ultra Ball is going to get rid of an Arceus and Arceus V-Star, so 1 Trinity Nova and a Starbirth. Exactly what he wants to do. He is going to go and use that to get another Arceus V. But probably wants to be a little bit careful about putting that down on the bench.
Yeah, this is all about thinning at this point, trying to get the deck to where it's only some valuable resources. Energy cards are going to be crucial, continuing to find some of those draw supporters, potentially more Chorus, could help to find some of those healing effects and maybe those switching effects as well, because we know that the battle is just beginning.
Azul reading Hisuian Gudra V-Star. Really?
He's trolling.
Yeah.
100%.
Good.
How dare you?
Just for clarity. It probably doesn't need to do that one. I know Azul knows his decks inside and out. But of course, the Rolling Iron does come through, does knock out that Regirock, which is something that Azul will be very easily able to replace. I already see one in the hand, so not a big problem. But of course, that Rolling Iron means that with no switching effect, that is going to be taking less damage on the following turn, 80 less to be precise. The big thing here, though, is this Regieleki, the big Parasol is in play. That big Parasol is going to cause problems.
Yeah, that can certainly be annoying. We know that this Regieleki is certainly Azul's go-to here in this position, but now what do you start to target? Do you start to even think about using the Sonar, perhaps, and getting some of your item cards or anything else from the discard pile?
Well, the Regirock goes right back onto the bench. The Aurora Energy, mulling over. As we do, Azul being very deliberate with his energy, really making sure each decision is important and is valuable, will of course allow him to thin the hand another card if that's something he's focused on doing. But the Aurora Energy, very, very important in this deck and something he took off the prizes the last time by getting that additional knockout. 2 Aurora Energy, though, coming back with the help of Ancient Wisdom. Regieleki is set up and ready to go, and it's just going to be able to put the damage down. So Targeted Bolt, it is damage. The effect does specifically say damage, so that goes through the big Parasol.
Yeah, Big Parasol is more of a tech that's used for a lot of the other Lost decks. We've seen the Sableye with the damage counter placement, and of course the Giratina's incredible V-Star attack.
Very specific wording needed on that one, but it does say do 120 damage. So yeah, that actually doesn't matter at all. I misspoke earlier, and I apologize for that. But being able to put that damage down and target that down while it's not in a great position, being able to take that damage is really, really rough. Because that kind of undoes all the work of the Crystal Cave very, very quickly. That is something that I think Hale is a little bit concerned about now, and obviously would love to maybe thin the board down, right? So there's nothing left. He's looking at the 7-prize game right now.
Hale is holding on to all the cards, which would be great against a Regice, but not not the attacker that we see right now. Azul's strategy definitely throwing him for a loop, and we are going to see the boss's orders on the Regirock potentially targeting down this specific Pokemon to avoid seeing some of the ancient wisdom.
Well, what's kind of fun here as well, if you're in Hale's shoes, is if the angle that Azul is taking, the way he's going through it, is of course to try and use that Regieleki and the targeted bolt to throw damage down on the Pokemon on the bench. It doesn't actually matter when the heavily damaged one's in the active, because it's not where he can put it. He can only put it down on the bench. I think Hale is going to be playing a very long 7-prize game, hoping, of course, to completely bleed Azul out of resources and make things very difficult. Maybe let him miss an attack and completely run away with the game there. Hale is in the prize advantage right now, and an 80 damage being reduced after that rolling iron. That said, I mean, this Regidrago is set up to try and put down a decent chunk of damage, to be honest.
You have to think that Azul would love to start working through the deck at some point, find a path to the peak, just counter this Crystal Cave, try to slow down all of the healing effects, and sure enough, finds a Marnie and going to try to go a little bit further here.
Yeah, counter the Crystal Cave, and of course, counter the Radiant Gardevoir. Definitely adds up, definitely becomes quite valuable very, very quickly. So there's going to be 4 cards for Hale, a couple Hyper Potions over there. See a Trekking Shoes. Let's see what the Trekking Shoes gets Azul. Molds it over. Yep, another Trekking Shoes. Why not? Keep digging. And that's going to be the Regirock that he needs
rock.
To complete the combo and set up once again for an Ancient Wisdom. I'm not seeing a path to the peak in there, though.
Yeah, this is, once again, that bare minimum. It gave you exactly what you needed, I guess, but not all of the cool cards, and going to be a little bit short of the perfect ideal turn here, but at least going to open up some avenues here.
I think I described most players' turns in this as decent.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them have had any absolute banger turns where they're like, I can just win the game off this. But I think both of them have been pretty consistent in where they're going. It is going to be the quick ball, just thinning out cards for Azul, getting them in the hand, so better chance, or not even grabbing any, just checking maybe to see where those Path to the Peaks are.
Yeah, one last shot with the Dragon's Horde, it looks like. 2 cards in the hand.
Is it Path to the Peaks or Paths to the Peak?
I think it's Path to the Peak, and we're just going to leave it as a singular forever.
But what if he's got multiples in the deck?
How could you have multiple peaks? It wouldn't just be one thing that you're trying to get to?
You have like smaller peaks, higher peaks. Have you never looked at a wave frequency graph, Kyle?
If you're not first, you're last.
So you're saying that unless you climb Mount Everest, you do not deserve to be acknowledged for climbing a mountain.
Yes, 100%.
Apparently, it's a really miserable experience, not just for, of course, the pain and suffering on your body, but it's just not that pleasant up there. Anyway, back to the game as we look at this Regidrago in the active. Looks like that's going to be Azul's line in this one. Ancient Wisdom throws down an Aurora and a capture on that, and he's going to go after it with the giant fangs, just doing I believe
90.
90.
Wow.
Yeah. That's not feeling great.
Well, we do see the Avery there. It's going to limit the bench here, and we know that it is one of those cards that. Oh yeah, I was about to say. I think it's not supposed to be 90. It's supposed to be 80.
Yeah. Well, it's 160 minus 80 for the rolling iron. Does the Radiant Gardevoir not count as well?
That should be impacted, and then of course there should be the Cave Heal coming up soon too. So
yeah, I think the Radiant Gardevoir wasn't accounted for there. I think we're just gonna have to be a little bit more diligent on the from opponent's Pokemon V, of course. My apologies. So not actually a factor in this game at all.
But it's cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. Could force a 7-prize game, too.
Well, at this point, we'll take anything. Hale's trying to figure out what to do here, and it looks like it's just going to be the attack.
Yeah, it's going to be the attack. Activate the Gift Energy. So that's pretty rough on this one. I mean, he's drawing up cards, but this bench is already looking much thinner And Hale's going to be putting himself in a prize advantage on this one.
Well, we're taking a little bit of a hiatus before drawing up with the gift energy, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, just checking what's in there. I think this is kind of Azul deciding if maybe he wants to look at the next game.
Oh, he's already seen the cards. Okay, so now he's just trying to make the best decision possible of who to bring to the access pod.
Yeah.
Totally understandable here.
Yeah, but he's a long way away from an Ancient Wisdom, and he does not have any... I mean, he has a lot of, actually, Reggies in hand, so maybe able to just turn this one around very quickly, but probably needs a way
Does he have every Reggie in hand?
Yes, maybe. Well, he definitely has all the ones needed to fill the bench, I can assure you of that. I can see the...
In the discard pile if he if
yeah, he
does
actually
this.
has the full combo in hand. There's the path to the peak, so being able to play that down, a bit late for it now, but... you know, not going to be the most impactful. There, of course, is the charge up with the Aurora Energy. That Giga Impact
I thought you were playing into the Giga Impact with the impactful.
Oh, no, I didn't even think about that. Anyway, does get a knockout, level up the prize count at 222, and it's going to be one more Gudra V in the active V star. It is powered up, it is ready to go, so it's going to be able to cause a number of problems here if it can grind out the last two prizes. I think a Rolling Iron, a damage reduction of 80 should be enough to push Hale over the line in this one, as long as he can sit on the board, and if there's no way for, you know, Azul to really explode through that one, it's going to be huge. It's a Crystal Cave, comes back in, he pulled that off the prizes, and just gets to look at the deck. Yeah, also this Reggie can't attack the next turn, so ooh, a brutal Roxanne. All those Reggies in the hand being put back in the deck. Let's see if this just wraps up the game for Hale.
Well, thankfully, the Trojan Horse is online, so
at
least we can fall back to that.
Oh, yes. The gift energy being able to, of course, make sure Azul always comes out smelling of roses when he's got a handful of 7 at the end of every turn.
Yeah, I think the big card here for Azul to see will be that Yellhorn just needs to start to manipulate. Oh, that's not okay. Was thinking about the eventual cards to come with the gift energy. We'll see how everyone feels about that.
That is, as we've discussed on stream already today,
an oopsie.
A little whoopsie daisy for Azul there. I think he knows what's coming. You know, he knows he's going to get hit with the Rolling Iron. He's going to lose that Pokemon. And he's going to draw with the gift energy. So it is a mistake. It's a very, you know, honest mistake to make. Sometimes you go a little bit far with the draw. So there he goes, and it looks like we're just going to be throwing that one over. I think after that one, Azul knows what's coming, seeing if he had the option, maybe.
He takes a peek. The Yellhorn was coming, so the strategy was there. But, you know, when you take a look at 3 cards, you don't get to do strategies anymore. You get to go to game 2.
Honestly, respect to Azul in that one. Knows that if we have to go for ruling, that's going to eat up time. We are on a slightly reduced top 4 timer here with just 60 minutes as well. So Azul, if he loses that game but wastes time during it too, we could be ending up in a very sticky situation where, you know, we go to a nasty tiebreaker and then we go from there. So even with a really bad start for Hale, you know, the Radiant Gardevoir being the starting Pokemon getting stuck there. The Radiant Gardevoir actually useless in this matchup. My apologies for not remembering the Pokemon V caveat that comes with that Loving Veil ability. But, you know, just being able to kind of cause some problems, certainly an interesting one. Yeah,
there's a lot of potential here for Hale to have a much better start here in game number 2, but of course we will see Azul getting another opportunity, and that wasn't a great Reggie start either, so both players looking for a little bit of redemption here. Azul has a lot of work to do to start to make his way back in a matchup like this. It takes a lot of time to knock out Gudra, and you're going to have to do it twice in a row.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this, it did seem like this was a very tough matchup, and definitely Azul's list, different to Drew's. I think Drew may have had an extra out in that boss's orders. I did like that one, obviously being able to go around a Rolling Iron once it's set up, and then land a big attack that way, follow that up with a couple of targeted bolts. You may be able to pick up some knockouts that aren't being expected, but it's going to be time for both these trainers to draw up. Taking a look at this, I think we're going to have a moment where Hale's mulling it over. Oh, there's basic for Azul, and there it is. Hale's done this before. He holds onto the hand, waits for his opponent, and of course flashes that mulligan. So a little bit more shuffling and a little bit more drawing up. Maybe, just maybe, this is the one where Hale starts with the Arceus V.
You'd hope with only 7 basic Pokemon that you could get the job done once.
Yeah. Well, the prizes are going down for Azul. That's going to be Regidrago and Regigigas in there. He did prize a couple of Regis last time. It was absolutely fine. A Research, a Speed Energy, an Air Balloon, a Trekking Shoes. Nothing too drastic because those are all played in multiple copies in this deck.
Yep, these are certainly some doable prizes here. And also welcomed ones to see once you start finally taking some knockouts. Pretty good placement there for the supporter.
Yep, sneak in a knockout, draw out the supporter, then pull through your deck to make sure you get all the cards you need. There's another Crystal Cave in the prizes, the Rock Sand, the Colruses, Hyper Potion. Balanced, not too drastic, not as bad as last game.
Oh, I got a peek. I'm so sorry, Hale. That's not it.
Oh no, that is going to be the Hisuian Gudra V in the active. So even though it is going to be an option for him, it's going to be a tough one. Azul drawing up and the Regigigas being able to go for it. I think a lot of options here in his hand. Yeah, this is what you want to see as a Regi player. The Trekking Shoes right into a Regi too. Ooh.
This is pretty nice. Yeah, now the decision is, do you want to hold on to some of the Pokemon search, or do you want to go with the shoes? Going to go ahead and look.
This one's not as easy, and it's going to be the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Makes a lot of sense. Chances of reprising a Regi are pretty high, actually. So now you get to figure out which one is prized and which one you need. So he knows, of course, about what's in the deck, and so now he's going to be able to do those counts, figure out which one he needs to go and get, potentially with a Hisuian Heavy Ball, and grab something a little bit different there as well, pulling all of those to the front of the deck, making that count very, very easy for him.
Yep, doing the search through the deck is better in this situation, because if you do have all of your Pokemon in the deck, then you can just discard the Hisuian Heavy Ball with one of your other searching effects.
Yeah, it's a very smart play. I think he's just making sure the numbers are all right for him there. He's going to take the Reg Ice with that one. So maybe trying to look to lock this game out early doors with a Blizzard Bind. Make sure that you never get an attack down, but it's still a little way off. You've still got a number of Regis, 4 to be precise, to get through.
The Reg Ice looks a lot better when your opponent doesn't have multiple Gudra Vs ready to go, or V-Stars rather, and if you can get it off early, that's when you start to see that disruption really helping.
If you can get it off as well before they get any of that damage reduction down, that's absolutely huge. Now he knows about what's in the prizes. The Hisuian Heavy Ball is going to be very well played there to get that Regidrago out. Of course, from the Dragon Horde ability and the Giant Fangs. So it's going to be a couple Regis available here on his very, very first turn.
Oh no, not the shuffled prize cards, come on.
No. You hate to see it, really. But they go back down. The Hisuian Heavy Ball ends up in the middle. Oh, and the Regigigas and, of course, the Professor's Research we were talking about end up on that bottom row. So great places for them, even after Hale's additional shuffling. The 3 Regis that he had access to hit the deck very quickly. They're going onto the bench. Ancient Wisdom goes back down. We're going to go for a Capture Energy. Wow. So we're going to be up to 5 of the 6 at the end of this turn. And it could be more. You seeing what I'm seeing, Kyle? It's a very small hand there for Azul.
Full hand, are you saying?
Full hand of 4.
Yep, you can see the prioritization there of this Regieleki with the targeting bolt. Just understanding that's one of his go-to strategies here. So going to take a little bit more of a risk and hopefully find one of those Registeals 2 left in the deck still.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple options to do it. We'll see if he's able to draw through to it. The big concern, though, is even if he does hit it, are there any engine the discard? The answer is no.
It's more of a let's at least
get it.
Yeah.
Show that you've got it.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah. Soon they will be there. But I will be able to sit here and flex with all of mine. That's 1 and 2. Not quite seeing what he's got. He does have the Ultra Ball.
I think he got the Regieleki too.
Yeah, he could, of course, just go and get that Registeel if he wants. It is going to be, Regigigas and a Regieleki, so 2 of the wrong ones.
And I think that last card in the hand was a Path to the Peak, which could be pretty nice.
Yep, there's the Registeel, being able to set that up. I think Path to the Peak go down, and then, you're able to just Dragon's Horde next turn, assuming you don't get knocked out, which I don't see it, to be honest.
Yeah, I would leave the desk and high-five Hale if he was able to find the turn 1 knockout.
I mean, he does have double turbo energy, but he's not able to evolve, so he's not able to do any attacking.
There's Melanie, but yeah, I don't know.
How does he get the water in the discard? He also needs to draw an Arceus V and a Switch.
Okay, it's not happening.
It would have to be an absolute nuts Chorus's experiment. But that's what he's going for. The bench is full for Azul. He's got it all set up. He just doesn't have access to any energy to Ancient Wisdom. Throwing the Twin down on the Regigigas just in case it gets knocked out. A couple good pieces there off the Chorus's experiment. I do see an Arceus already in there. He's obviously mapping out the next couple of turns, but getting this Goodra out the active is going to be a bit of a tinker. He's able to grab the Arceus V. I believe those are presses. What do we got under that? Oh, we got a Marnie, my apologies, and a Metal Energy. So
yeah, when you see your opponent throw away a double Turbo Energy, you know that one's coming. And sure enough, there it is.
Well, there's the big Parasol. See if that can do anything to help him out.
Yeah, you can see just how big that Path to the Peak is going to be on this turn now.
Oh, no. Oh, no, he may be able to do it. So he goes Path to the Peak and the Dragon Hordes, and he's able to get that Aurora away. So we got a quick ball. That Aurora goes right away. Oh, the Yell Horn, and another quick ball as well.
A little early for the Yell Horn, but at least we know where it is.
Yeah, it's ready. Now can he just hold it into his hand for the rest of the game until he needs it?
I would not suggest that, but you might have to. Obviously, we know Marnie is coming.
Just pop it back at the bottom with a Marnie. You'll be absolutely fine. Anyway, the quick ball discards the Aurora Energy, so we're getting the ball rolling on energy in the discard. That is going to be very, very useful. Of course, the quick ball is going to grab a Pokemon that you can't play down right now. That's a full bench for Azul. So just looking at the deck, maybe time to count up some of the supporters, some of those Marnies, and just make sure he knows how many ordinary rods he's got access to. Nothing wrong with that at all. Perfectly legitimate gameplay.
Looks like just the one Aurora Energy in the discard pile, so not too many attacks lining up here.
No, he is going to take the Regieleki with it, so getting it out the deck, maybe not wanting to draw into it later on. But of course, if you can't get it out your hand, you're going to have even lower value Dragon Hordes. It's a tough one for Azul. I mean, he's just missing the energy, really, and it's, with these tiny, tiny hands, large and plentiful hands of 4, he's not been able to, of course, land all that he needs. He is throwing things on the Regidrago, so if that's obviously the target, he's going to be able to get them in with the retreat. So
yeah, Azul does not skip hand day, okay? Yeah. He's got nice big hands. He's trying to get the job done. It's not working for him. He's got to bring this Regieleki up, and Hale is going to try to get something done here. Of course, starts with the Arceus V-Star.
Yeah, the Arceus V-Star, though, is going to be affected by Path to the Peak. Not able to Starbirth, so not able to get that one going. Not able to just pull out something like a Switch. And, the Goodra's not exactly the easiest thing to get out the active. It's not quite as easy as that Radiant Gardevoir. Just required a double Turbo Energy, attach and bounce out. You are going to need some options. I don't know what he has in the hand. I'm not seeing a Crystal Cave, so he is going to have to Marnie right now. And then see if he can hit it that way, then Starbirth, then get the ball rolling. Let's see what he gets off the Marnie. The card's obviously going on the bottom.
Wow.
Those are not... Oh, he does get the Switch.
Okay. The Switch and the Cave if he wants it.
Oh, he got both. That's absolutely nuts. So, Switch is the choice. Doesn't want to save that for later. Get that in there. Of course, he has only got one Hisuian Goodra to set up. Get a little bit extra down with that big charm. And, I think it's time to set up a Goodra.
Yeah, this big charm means that Azul not only needs to find the Aurora Energy for this Regirock, but also needs to find the Choice Belt to potentially take a knockout here. And that's exactly what Hale's trying to do. Just try to get some extra turns out of this Arceus V-Star. Could you imagine if you double Trinity Nova onto a Goodra V-Star and have 6 energies ready to go for Hyper Potions?
Hyper Potions for days, able to recover them off, sneak in another manual attachment, and absolutely go for it. So it is going to be the Starbirth now that Crystal Cave is in play. There is the Goodra V-Star and a Goodra V. So able to get those set up and force the perfect 6-prize game with some really rough knockouts. There is the manual attachment for the turn. I think Hale just double-checking that he hasn't, done anything untoward. Very smart play, yeah, just stepping through the turn. And yeah, he's just going to swing for it with the Trinity Nova, so able to pick up that deck and go grab 3 basic energy. It's a water, and it's a metal. He's now got a lot of metals to choose from. So yeah, metal over there on each Goodra, and an additional water on the V-Star.
Well, if he keeps playing like this, he's going to have an additional medal in a champion's medal going around his neck.
He's been playing very well. And of course, that Trinity Nova doing 200 damage, more than enough to get the knockout on the Reggie. Which Reggie do we have up in the active? We had, it was a lucky. He must have taken the knockout on. So it's something he needs to be conscious of, being able to cause those problems in that instance. I do think as well, I mean, you know, you're going to struggle right now. Obviously, the Reggie Rock goes to the front, but where are those Aurora energies? The other thing that Azul didn't have going for him in that turn, where was the gift energy, Kyle?
Right? the reload is exactly what we're looking for. That's why this deck is so good, and sure enough, we're just not seeing it right now.
Yep.
The Marnie is really going to have to provide a bailout here for Azul.
Yep, well, it is going on to the bottom of the deck. That one quick ball left behind, and Hale, even though he just drew a prize, it's going right to the bottom of his deck. Brace yourself. This is 5 cards in his hand. This is the most we've seen all game, Kyle.
This is overwhelming.
Yeah, it's going to calm down. We'll be able to work through it. There is, of course, a number of options in there. There is now 2 Aurora Energy, of course, so a Giga Impact is going to be able to come through. But with no Choice Belt available, that's not enough for the knockout, falling just a little bit short. With the weakness, that's 280. That Big Charm has come in absolutely clutch.
Well, yeah, when you get 5 dice out to show what work you've done and you still don't take the knockout, that feels brutal.
The little thumbs up felt a little bit cheeky.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
Nice try. That
Good
was cute.
one, Reggie Rock. But, you know, 5 cards still wasn't enough to see that choice belt. So clearly, you know, maybe need to be looking at 7. And that is what Azul will be looking at the end of this turn, with the gift energy finally in play. It's going to be a manual attachment down onto this Hisuian Gudra V-Star, being able to set that one up. And I believe a Trinity Nova once again. Let's get the rest of them out the deck. You know, get them in the right place. Like you say, you can set up some Gudras to really take hits and then be able to potion it off with that hyper potion, the requirement of discarding 2 energies. Very easy to hit when you're at, I believe it's 4 now, over onto that V-Star. Yeah, 3 water and a metal. So Azul is able to draw up to a mind-boggling 7 cards for you, Kyle, and should be able to keep on and trying to fire back, but he's kind of falling behind the prize trade a little bit, weirdly enough.
Yeah, when he draws his card for the turn, that's going to be overwhelming.
8 cards. We need to get him like a Scrabble board. That's so many. How's he going to hold on to all of those?
Well, it looks like maybe Azul's checking to see what's slipping and tripping. Maybe the rolling shell was interesting him, but he wants to make sure that he knows every potential attack that could go his way.
Yeah, well, he's still got to deal with this Arceus V-Star in the active, sitting on 280 damage, kept going by that Big Charm. Does open the turn with an Ordinary Rod, though, so the Ordinary Rod getting back a couple of those Reggie pieces. Definitely a Reggie Rock going back in there to make sure that he can, once again, get that Ancient Wisdom going. It's another path to the peak, and the Marnie path. It's been around for a little while now, but, you know, Hale's pretty well set up. With the Marnie, you know, and we also know there's no way to get this Arceus out of the active and maybe pick it off later. So, you know, could be in a good position.
Yeah, this just doesn't feel like a lot of cards to help out, but sure
Oh,
enough,
he does
does
get the
find the Regirock.
Yeah, he's able to. Ancient Wisdom could as well Terra Spark. There's no way to stop the additional effects. They could certainly help out here, but, you know, the Terra Spark you know, would just be able to put down a little bit of damage, soften these up. But as soon as Hale goes back into a Crystal Cave, he's able to heal all of that off. It's another gift energy, though, so keeping those hands absolutely full to the brim. This Arceus V-Star will go down, but it's definitely done its job. And once we go into Gudra mode, Hale can grind this one to a halt.
Yep, this is a pretty crucial turn for Azul, getting that path down and trying to stick some additional damage. It's just holding on to it is going to be so tricky. You need multiple whiffs from Hale in order to avoid those caves.
Yeah, well, it is going to be the discard, and of course there's not much choosing to do of where those extra 40s go, right onto the Gudras. And this fully stacked Gudra is coming to the front. A couple prizes taken there for Azul, obviously. And we now have 2 Hisuian Gudra V-Stars as he's able to evolve. Yeah, that's a Crystal Cave. Oh, no, it's not. It's Chorus's Experiment. My apologies. I thought the way he was looking at it looked so confident. But he's digging for the Crystal Cave with the Chorus's Experiment. Some good choices in there. Definitely a couple of things he may be able to get rid of. You know, just the way he's set this one up. Looks like he's going to take Boss's Orders, a switch, and one other that I wasn't able to quite see. The quick ball coming to the front of the hand very, very promptly. Getting rid of another one of those Arceus V-Stars. Not needed now. It's done its job with 2 Trinity Novas.
Yeah, this is just going to grab the Radiant Gardevoir, and you can play the 7-prize game. Maybe if you want to stall a little bit, buy a little time at
Thin it out.
A point where you want to maybe preserve some of the hit points on these Pokemon, but I don't think that this would be the turn anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing as well here is he knows that Azul, or probably knows, that he doesn't have a switching option, right? So if Terra sparks the angle, he would be able to potentially just say, you know what, I'm going to be able to put this up there. You're not going to be able to knock me out because you don't have enough damage with that 120. And then, of course, you're getting the little bits damage, just the 40s onto this Goodra. But this Goodra setting up with another Rolling Iron, taking another prize for Hale, and in no real danger of being knocked out this turn. The Gift Energy got Azul back up to 8. Oh, look how many cards he's getting in the hand. He's getting 2 more with the Speed Lightning Energy, another Trekking Shoes to keep on looking through things. And it's looking like he's, he's got the Choice Belt set up there. Of course, Choice Belt goes down onto the Regigigas as well. Help that one out. And Amani, once again, under the path to the peak.
Yeah, this is bizarre. You see, Azul really is the disruptor in this matchup, oddly enough. And it doesn't feel right because he's continually looking for some additional resources. And sure enough, I think we do see a pretty nice one there in the Yellhorn. Not exactly the turn that you want to do it. You want to make sure that maybe you can get one of those switching cards out, or maybe do this when the Goodra only has 3 energies, make it really awkward. But going to just cash in on a lot of damage here right now.
Yep, so it's going to be 160 minus 80 from the Rolling Iron, then of course plus 30, so 110 damage. In addition to the 40 brings it up to 150. 110, still not enough to threaten that Goodra on the following turn. So it's going to be a bit of a stretch, and of course there is a time where you do need to thin the hand out and see if you can get some, get some healing going, maybe. You've got all this extra energy on it. You can still Rolling Iron. You can get rid of these Arceus that you just do not need at this juncture. 2 of them hitting the discard, thanks to the Ultra Ball. 1 hitting the hand, and that means anything you draw is going to be more valuable. 150 still, at least 120 damage away. That's a big ask for this Regi deck. So he's going to take a look at the discard. I know he does have that Boss's Orders in hand, I believe. So being able to pull up something that is maybe doubled up on in the discard could be the way to go, and really punish in this one. But no healing, certainly not feeling great. Yep, Azul's going to get to do exactly what he likes to do, fill it up with the Gift Energy, but that's still another knockout, and Hale is now a crisp 2 prizes ahead.
Yeah, Hale is getting really close to maybe making his way to the finals here. Azul trying to find a way to close out at least on this Goodra V-Star in the active position, and then we can start to see some of those combos come into play. Just try to work the confusion in, and maybe make Hale have to work through some of these flips at the end of the game.
Yep, the Regidrago, of course, hitting the discard with all those energy. Regirock coming up to the front. It's really going to be the case of how much damage can you get down. I mean, you need to hit 120, and that's through the reduction. So you need to be hitting over 240 damage in this one. It's certainly not the easiest task to be done here. Of course, there is going to be a number of interesting plays here. Yeah, the Ordinary Rod bringing that back very, very nicely. Make sure you have access to get the Ancient Wisdom once again. You just put them back in, and you know they're there. Go grab the Regidrago.
Yeah, the Regidrago comes down. We can see the Ancient Wisdom start to build up here. Is there enough damage, however, to take a knockout here? It's going to be so tough to remove this Pokemon, and it doesn't seem like it's a possibility.
Yeah, and what do we think of the big Parasol here? Obviously, big Parasol taking away effects of attacks. Yeah, there's an effect on the Blizzard Bind.
That would explain why this is not a prominent strategy.
Yes, that is something that I don't think was going in there. And here it is, Kyle. You've been waiting for it. You've been hyping it up. It is, of course, the Yellhorn. That's a lot of cards to turn around there for Hale. But, 30 damage, racking up every single time. He's going to start to hurt if he's just not able to attack. There's a scoop up net, so the confusion not a problem for Azul anymore. Of course, we do know as well, Hale does have access to some switches in this deck. which could kind of ruin things very, very quickly.
Yeah, even the manual retreat at this point is disruptive because of the prize count right now. Hale only needing to find 2 more prizes to reach the finals here.
Yep, well, that is going to be the Pokegear 3.0 going in, grabbing that Marnie, being able to potentially keep things disrupted for Hale. But he seems to be drawing okay out of it every single time.
The card is not fond of me. We'll see if it favors other players.
Yeah, not great for me, but wonderful for Thee. My opponent always seems to get great ones. I always seem to get terrible ones, but it just happens to the best of us, of course. Regirock is going to attack with the Giga Impact. 140 damage taken all the way down to 60. So the Rolling Iron from the previous turn paying off really nicely there. Still, we're sat on, I believe that's 100, 210. So another 60 would get there, but the Regirock can't attack next turn. Is, of course, going to have to switch into something else. Let's see. Hale's digging a little bit into the discard, so I haven't quite seen how that Marnie was treating him.
This hand is perfect for a situation like this. I saw the double turbo energy, the switch in hand as well.
Oh, no.
There's plenty of options. Now just deciding, well, which guarantees victory, and I think maybe even considering just switching and then maybe throwing an energy on the Radiant Gardevoir or something, just making sure that everybody could potentially retreat out of any awkwardness.
Yep, let's see how this one shakes out. It does have a number of pretty helpful cards there. I mean, the double turbo's usually used to reduce the hurt left behind of a potential, something like a hyper potion. But being able to just play a regular switch there, getting that Hisuian Gudra V-Star into the active. That one has taken very little damage, just a little bit of earlier chip damage from the Regieleki, and it's going to be able to set up a Rolling Iron of its own. So able to throw towards a knockout that way. Quick Ball, discarding the Arceus V, still completely useless in this matchup, not something that Hale needs to consider at all. And he's just going to be able to check the deck and thin those cards away, making sure that they do not come back to haunt him if they're put back in by something like a Marnie. So once again, Hale checking through the discard, making sure if there's a way he can completely lock Azul out the game. If he's out of Ordinary Rods, if he's out of a certain Reggie, he's going to be in a great position. There is the double turbo going down onto that Gudra. And the boss's orders onto the Regieleki. He sees one in the discard. He sees that that's something that he's going to be able to cause problems with. And, even better, doesn't give him the gift energy on that turn.
Yeah, I think that might have been the crucial point of the turn here. Getting down to just one prize card left, Azul with a mountain to climb.
It's a long way to go. He wants to check the discard. Of course, you do have to try and keep your tournament hopes alive, but Hale is so close. He has 2 Hisuian Gudra V-Stars, both powered up, both ready to attack. I don't see a way that Azul can stop him swinging. And of course, Rolling Iron, more than enough damage to knock out any of these single prizes. So he does get the Regieleki back out. There's going to be a quick ball discarding the Registeel. This Regirock is free to attack, but nowhere near threatening a knockout. Let's see what the potential turn is. He's going to retreat, dump all those energy. Yep. Yes, there is no big Parasol on this active one, so he's going to Blizzard Bind it. It's going to do 20 damage. And yeah, he's just explaining what's going on. Hale Obernolte, that attach of the double turbo energy. He could have done it anyway with the energy he had on, but he's able to just retreat out into the other Hisuian Gudra V-Star, and of course, knock it out with the Rolling Iron. I was told that this matchup was going to be absolutely brutal for the Regi players, and yeah, they were right. It has been an absolute savaging in the game I watched at the table and the game here on stream. So Hale's path to the peak, the finals here in Salt Lake City, has been looking pretty good when it comes to the matchups.
Yeah, paths to the peak, path to the peaks. Either way, Hale is finding his way to the finals here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, and his Hisuian Gudra V-Star seems to be doing the work for him. That was the perfect execution of the deck. Took him a little moment. Of course, get the Arceus going, get the Trinity Novas going, set up a board that's really, really hard to work through.
Yeah, it was impressive. Just the way that it handles the Regigigas deck. I don't think other decks really have that much playability around Regigigas. We've seen Flying Pikachu VMAX be able to cause a ton of disruption, but of course there's plenty of playability. I don't know if there's an answer to this Gudra.
Do a lot of damage on one that hasn't used roll.